first pick, and that's going to set you up, Lyric. Remember, we did actually talk about the Nidalee, so I like this Renekton B1.
Yeah, still though, I feel like Ultra Prime should have a pretty easy answer with the Aphelios here. It seems like with the fact that Renekton didn't get banned, they were trying to be like, hey, either you can take this or we're going to get it, because the Jarvan's also banned. So if Ultra Prime doesn't take Aphelios here when he is the only premier AD carry open, the fact that you don't have to worry about a Jarvan coming in on the opposite side would be incredibly surprising. Ultra Prime right now just flashing that Nidalee because, like you said, they know exactly what top esports want to go for.
Well, take away that Aphelios, Lyric says, but it's Leona instead. So, Lyric, you've given over the jungler. That was a bit of coy play there from Ultra Prime. And JackeyLove can have the Aphelios if he wants.
Yeah, I think you even could look for things like Jins to go into the bottom lane, or something that can just stabilize and hold. Something you don't need to play around with, can be left in the 1v2 rump support up towards topside. Because you do have the Renekton, and Renekton, as shown in LPL so far, is incredibly high value. He is banned almost every single game.
Oh, yeah.
We think about it a while ago, Renekton did get those nerfs to his W, and after that time, Riot did give him some kind of tune-up buffs because he was struggling. Eventually, reverted the change on his W, and Renekton has just been strong in the eyes of LPL players ever since. So we expect to see top esports doubling down on that top lane matchup. We did see them do that towards the end of Demacia Cup, where they just put a lot of resources into top lane, into diving and ganking Zoom's lane and allowing him to have a big impact. Something that historically no team has done when they've had Zoom. They just leave him to do his own thing, but top esports maybe trying to incorporate him into their own style.
I also want to say, Lyric, that we know LPL players will play it towards the mid lane as well. Knight's done it in the past. You have a huge brain, and we know that the meta is pretty stable with mages in the mid lane, but I think food for thought in case it passes our lips. The Ziggs going to be the final pick before the second phase, though, for Ultra Prime. So we have bottom lane cemented. Lyric, where do you want to go from here? Because we've got a bit of a mismatch for both these teams.
Yeah, I would expect top esports to be manning out top laners, probably with the fact you've already picked up the Renekton, so things like Jace are ones that jump to mind, especially with the fact that they do have a Ziggs down in the bottom lane, so they are going to have AP. I don't know if you want to go for something like a Gwen top side, which can go into the Renekton, because then you might be too heavily indexed into AP. You're forced to take an AD mid laner when you already have an AD jungler. So for TS, I think a Jace ban would make the most sense. You expect Ultra Prime wanting to take a mage in the mid lane, and then probably round out with some AD on the top side.
Okay, well, I'm looking towards those Jace bans coming through. We got a Vex, we got a LeBlanc, so solo lane's definitely the word right now, and I like that we're getting rid of something like the Vex against a player like Knight, who we talked about the arsenal in the mid lane. And we talked a lot about how Knight was such a great player last year, didn't make it to Worlds, and even in the first series already showcased some of that skill that we highlighted towards that last split. Nautilus going to be banned here, though, and that's one of Zhuo's favorites, so limiting the pool across the board against top esports. Lyric, that solo laner once again. Just waiting to see if top esports do choose to get rid of the Jace and make life a little bit harder coming through for that top lane.
So they could also technically go with the Corki. Cryin did play that in their last series. I think Corki's incredibly good against Aphelios. He'll pair very well with the Ziggs in terms of just having a double poke setup against a lot of range coming out on the other side. But honestly, Cryin did not have the best performance
He didn't
on
hit the
Corki
big
in the
ones.
last series.
He didn't hit the
No,
big
he was
ones.
not. He was not hitting the big ones, and you did say last time that it's impossible to miss the big ones.
It is.
Also in game one did have the part where he Valkyried over the wall into like 4 members and kind of just died. That won't happen every time. So if he does want to pick it, it fits their comp. It goes with it thematically. It is very safe up against champions, you know, like Renekton. You can kite them out later on, and looks like Cryin will go back to that. Hopefully Ox is not out there tilting somewhere.
No, because I looked through some VODs and I noticed that Yagao didn't make him a very happy man. That was something, listening to his package timing, and I think therapy after that game is needed. So we'll see about those package timings. We'll let him know. But going through Lyric, I see a Knight Sylas. That's exciting considering it's one of his best in recent history.
Yeah, also a little bit surprising. Something that has fallen a little bit out of flavor. We've seen him once so far. I mean, in terms of early laning phase, Corki will be able to kind of do whatever he wants. He's going to take the first strike. He's going to get some gold off of you. But especially post 6, right? That's when you're looking at Sylas to be able to make a big impact. You have a ton of all-in coming out from the side of TS. You have 2 champions that feel comfortable going into side lanes. You have the pick potential with Nidalee and Renekton. You can also have Rakan looking to follow up as well. For the side of Ultra Prime, though, I think in terms of 5v5, they do have a pretty nice range advantage. They do have a pretty nice front line in the Leona as well, so that's where they will be feeling comfortable. And now having this Jax to look to counteract the pressure that Renekton and Sylas will be looking to generate later on.
And it makes sense when we look at these two teams going head-to-head, right? You just mentioned top esports. What we know about this team is, in the past, they tried to pull gold leads before the first 15 minutes of the game. And if you look at this composition, Lyric, if it gets off the ground, starts rolling, the all-in, the pick potential you mentioned as well, are these champions being able to dart forward. But top esports, that gives them control and that gives them the initiative to take this game by the horns. Whereas for Ultra Prime, you're talking to me about the 5v5. I see a lot of scaling here as well, Lyric. The Jax, the Corki, the Ziggs. Things that can nuke as the game progresses on. So can Ultra Prime hold out? I think it's the biggest question here when top esports have got something to prove after their first loss against Rare Adam.
I think that will be, the question, right? For the side of Ultra Prime, you're going to be playing around things like the package timings coming out, potentially looking to take those Rift Herald fights at the 8-minute mark and just abusing that strength. For TS, I think you are a bit more flexible with the timers you can look for ganks. You expect a potential early gank, maybe level 3, level 4 to come out around top side for the Renekton. You can very easily try to combo in with the Sylas as well with the lockdown that he has. And then we know that Knight is going to be looking to make an impact roaming around the map consistently. Okay. So for TS, snowballing's the name of the game, getting that early advantage and finding picks.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we look at the solo queue win rates here in the matchup, we're about to head into game number 1. I know you're wondering what those stats were, but yeah, solo queue's definitely different from competitive play, especially when you got TES versus Ultra Prime. Welcome you to our second series of the day and the start, today's Saturday, Lyric. It's the second day of our Super Week, but every day's Super Week. So maybe nothing is Super Week. A contemplation thought. I'll get there eventually. My name is Jake. This is Lyric, also known as Jordan Corby, also known as a level 1.
We have kills already. Let's go.
Forget it, dude. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about introductions when you have a 1-for-1, 3-1 minute. Now, let's take stock, Lyric, because flash gone from top, flash gone from jungle, Zhuo out of both summoners. Who died?
I just gotta say, I absolutely love that you never really see the setup for the level 1 in LPL. By the time we're on the Rift, every time it's about 1 minute into the game. So the fight is already happening or people are already dead. It's just a wonderful surprise for you when we get to see the replay. And it does look like top esports are the ones who initiated the evade. We see both dashes started on the side of top esports, really creative level 1 to be able to come out. Looks like they should be able to finish off ShiauC. But they're getting collapsed on. So, okay, we're going to get a trade somehow. I assume ShiauC walks back in, which is how top esports get their 1 kill. That is what happens. He goes down to Knight. And, yeah, Ultra Prime pick up 1 on the other end of the fight. Okay,
so Jackson 1, Knight was 1. ZS top lane. We have pretty core elements that needed to get ahead earlier, or at least be in a comfortable position. What changes because of this crazy level 1 fiesta?
I think the biggest difference we'll get is especially gold on Knight, since we were talking about how the fact that he wants to be one of the people bringing out agency onto the map early on, right? Being able to have a bit more gold, get your power spike a little bit sooner, have higher impact in these mid-game skirmishes is going to be pretty nice. The kill on ZS, I think is going to be more of kind of building on that insurance policy you already had. He's going to have a fine time in the laning phase now, no doubt. And the bit of a timer that top esports are on just gets a wee bit smaller.
Important to know, especially since we have the Nidalee with Renekton, and it was about Zoom's lane coming into this draft, Lyric. It was about focusing the lane where all Nidalees like to go, pairing up in that duo. So I guess it's going to put more attention on Xiaopeng, and as he debuts here in 2022, how he can get back into that lane as he pass up towards the top side right now.
100% what we expected him to go for. The ward also did just time out for ZS, so potentially does set up a gank window for the side of TS. Looks like Hacker looking for something, going towards the mid lane, trying to bait Knight out. Doesn't look like Knight's going to fall for it, though. Xiaopeng isn't too far behind him.
Like that Knight as well, hovering towards the top side where his jungler is. As Hacker just passes through on the clear. ZS now helping out with the scuttle too. Xiaopeng behind enemy lines. This is either a pincer or a grand escape as he gets spotted out. He wants to pounce away from this as Sonic Wave at the ready. Spear dodged, and for Xiaopeng, luckily Zoom was walking there as well.
Xiaopeng being patient. Cryin was low on mana. This is why Ultra Prime decided to back off in the end for the fact that you look at Knight. Knight does still have some resources. Zoom was given time to answer the wave from topside, which means he would have been able to answer. Could have been a 3v3 had any fight broken out. But Cryin without that mana, wouldn't be able to have the impact that is necessary. So ultimately, top esports do get the Scuttle Crab. And Xiaopeng just looking for a bit of setup on topside. Hacker, though, reading the play well, knowing that Zoom did bring this wave in. Looks like both junglers just anticipating that the other could look for the play here. I don't expect anything to happen. Recalls probably should just come out in the end.
Okay, well, Xiaopeng being extra patient, cancelled it twice now, Lyric. Hit level 4 off the wave as well. And ZS at half HP, maybe that's enticing enough. Hacker's backed away, even being at a similar level, and Xiaopeng's like, dude, I want this so bad.
We're at 4. Yeah, 4 canceled the recall so far, and he does finally go. And again, it didn't really look like a play you would have been able to pull off. Zoom was doing a nice job of just kind of tethering him on the range when he was walking up to hit minions to be able to get some of those Qs off. But I think ZS ultimately still looking too healthy. You also need to remember with Ultra Prime's comp that they are running 3 teleports because they do have Ziggs down in the bottom lane. So typically you will always have one member who should be available to cover for you. Even when someone like Cryin uses their TP to get back to lane, Elk will still have his.
Good point to raise. Remember, we are on 12.1, so we need to wait for 14 minutes until we get the Unleashed teleport to set the play. After the Hex Flash is not successful. Elk taking a quick grab at him trade from JackeyLove, who's also pushing in. And on that teleport note, before we go on, just to note that Knight has actually taken Ignite here as well. So you raise the teleport point at a very good time, noticing that Zoom is the only person Lyric. Meaning that you're right, there's going to be a lot of covering from Ultra Prime. Not so much from top esports as the game goes on.
And it also kind of shows another distinction in their win conditions, right? Where top esports are very consciously just trying to all in on some early skirmishing. So if they could find fights here, though Xiaopeng is quite low right now. Ultra Prime should go pretty good to take this.
I mean, Hacker full HP with a level advantage as well. He flashes back out of the pit, pounces in. Spike comes down, he gets it. Now for top esports to turn around as Knight's at the forefront. Cryin jumped on in. Hacker burning down low as well. And JackeyLove starts setting out blue bullets as the javelin toss was a mighty wee bit close. Dragon, the fight, summoners is all that goes down in the end.
Yeah, for TS, Xiaopeng playing on a knife's edge. A lot of Ultra Prime skill shots did miss. The Q coming out from Lee Sin. I think Elk's initial bomb missed as well. Maybe if they could have bursted out Xiaopeng right away, that could have been a Dragon that could have ultimately taken and just tried to posture with TS, where they would back off from looking for picks. TS come out as the big winners in the end, though. Do get that first objective and do at least generate a little bit of pressure. Shouldn't miss out on too much CS down here in the bot side either.
It'd be nice though if Ultra Prime were able to get themselves a bit of turret plating here, Lyric, or catch up on CS in some of these lanes, because as we look across the top esports win condition, and yes, Elk was able to get 160 gold, so closer now towards that 500 gold difference, that we notice the top esports CS difference is there. Lyric, it doesn't matter, replay time. You walk me through this before I start talking numbers.
Yeah, we see ShiauC trying to look for the grab on Xiaopeng, isn't able to land the E. Hacker also missing a Sonic Wave as well. Elk at this point having no mana. It felt like for Ultra Prime, the only key to winning the fight was being able to burst down Xiaopeng before the other members are able to follow up. We know Knight, especially right now, will be able to have a higher impact in the team fight than the Corki on the receiving side. JackeyLove is just an AD champion, will be able to auto-attack compared to Elk, who sure you can auto-attack, but without the mana, you aren't going to be dealing the same amount of damage. So ultimately, TS come out the victors. But going back to a point we were going to hit before Dragon, right? Just some of the win constant strategies that Ultra Prime can take up with the fact that they do have 3 TPs to 1. Because you can pretty much continuously try to bait out Zoom's TP in the late game, and then consistently have numbers advantage or split push advantage with the fact that you will have more TPs than the enemy. So it will be really cool to see if Ultra Prime are smart enough to enact that strategy.
Depends on the macro coming through. Mid to late game, we'll watch out for it. As right now, we have to look out for this lane game. Dominus using. Remember, Renekton in a 1v2, a lot easier than you think, ladies and gentlemen. ShiauC goes in for the get. That's a mistake. That Zenith Blade should not have been taken, as Ultra Prime's bottom lane continuously pushed back against their turret. JackeyLove and Zhuo ready to go as they loom upon level 6.
And on the opposite side of the map, Zoom and Xiaopeng just kind of threatening. Both mid laners heading over now, but Zhuo does have first move over from support, so ultimately TS should be able to get positioning for this Herald. Now it's going to be about which AD carry can follow up first. With the fact that TS do have push in bot lane, you would expect JackeyLove could start looking to roam over now.
Well, but Lyric, there is a package for Cryin, so Orcs will be happy about it for now. The Knight's taking his ult here. Zoom getting engaged on the side, but Cryin burst out. That package not going to do a thing. Kick's great though for Zhuo, but he just flashes, re-engages, comes back in. ZS flashes away, but now Zoom is an angry Croc as Knight used the last of the ulti. The chain lash, the flash leap strike. ZS may be out, but top esports take a life and a herald this time, Lyric.
Top Esports going with the 4v4, no, neither AD carry following up. They find the angles. We see Zhuo going in with the engage. I think a nice spear hit from Xiaopeng as well onto Cryin to start it off, I believe. That's how he got chunked out so low. Then we saw just the amount of dive coming out from Top Esports so early on in the game with Sylas, Rakan, Renekton is just too much to handle for the side of Ultra Prime, who aren't really able to land any poke first. Heck, again, one half of that poke combo isn't even in the fight. He's down in that bottom side, and Cryin not able to find an opportune time to use the package. So we will see a little bit here. I just want to see, is it the spear that clips him? No, rocket into W. Yeah, pretty much just nice chain, actually. Xiaopeng's spear is the only thing that doesn't hit Hysterics. But Knight's here. Zoom on the opposite side again. You have a ton of dive to be able to pick up the win in this fight. And ultimately, I just don't feel like Ultra Prime's composition has enough damage to be looking for skirmishes at this point in the game.
I mean, Knight's advantage to the mid lane, what I wanted to talk about before was the CS advantages, not only through top, jungle, look at mid, look even at bot developing too. Every single lane of top esports right now is in the lead. They have a 2k gold lead for a good reason. Knight now has Everfrost and 4 stacks on the Dark Seal. We are getting Knight season again, Lyric, where, remember it was last year, you and I said every single game, Knight buys Magi. He buys Dark Seal and then he upgrades to Magi's pretty much 9.5 games out of 10.
Yeah, and I'd be happy to see him start doing it again, just start styling on absolutely everyone. Heck, he even forced Cryin to buy the Hex Drinker, so he's not going to have damage for quite a while longer. And when we talk about that's what Ultra Prime's big problem in their comp is right now. You're not sitting pretty looking at the items and the components that you have so far. Knight's going to generate so much pressure. He should continuously look to roam with Xiaopeng. With the fact that Dragon's coming up, playing towards the bottom side makes sense. Ultra Prime, though, looks like they're going to go for a bit of cross-map on the opposite side. They know where TS are, so if you can get some wards down, if you can find some camps, the hacker might not know that Xiaopeng actually has none up. It is the best play that Ultra Prime can go for.
Yeah, Hacker getting a little bit sad about that fact as well. Zoom taking the respect, but now Knight's actually got an all in again. There's the Everfrost on a no-mana Corki. Thanks for the cannon barrage. Actually, Corki's barrage, I have forgotten the name, I'll be honest with you, but Knight's still doing as much damage with it as Cryin is. Cryin has to respect that and back off the next wave.
And it's just where the matchup's at this point in time, right? We've already talked about things like the lack of damage coming out. You think about the heal that Knight has coming in on his Sylas, especially once he gets the Conqueror fully stacked. That's not going to make it any easier. You are the one with the Combat Summoner in the Ignite, so he will consistently be able to win these 1v1s. TS using the pressure they generated from bot. ShiauC goes in.
Through. Mega Inferno Bomb as well. Great pick from Ultra Prime, but they're getting blasted underneath the turret as Zhuo helps with the engage. Herald as well. Knight close to clipping the wings of ShiauC. Even though it's a trade, at the end of the day, gold still goes over to Top Esports.
Top Esports definitely went out in terms of just a black and white trade, right? They get the 1-for-1, but they also get some plates down on mid-turret. They get more gold. For Ultra Prime, the fact that you do get 1 kill when you are the team that is far behind, I think is pretty nice for them. So being able to find something. Again, we know ShiauC is a player who is not afraid of looking for these opportunities. And we're going to see here, finds the Zenith Blade straight onto Xiaopeng, locks him down with the ultimate immediately. They have a ton of burst, able to follow out with Hacker following in that queue. Ultimately, though, is going to get locked down by Knight. And even Zhuo coming out with the quickness as well was quite nice to make sure that Hacker can't get away.
Love it. Knight wasn't letting Hacker get out of that alive. Interrupting the warp-up, and beautiful to see. So, as you mentioned, beneficial from Top Esports at the end of the day. 2k gold lead still sits there. But Top Esports have 2 dragons. They've got a 3-0 mid laner who now has 6 stacks on the Magi's. We'll keep tracking for you. And I've just noticed Xiaopeng going for the Proto Belt here, Lyric. Last time we saw Nidalee, it was a Night Harvester build. It was the... Yeah, I actually can't think of anything outside of Night Harvester that I've seen in a while.
Yeah, and I mean, solo queue's been back and forth for a little bit. I actually think a lot of people have preferred the Rocket Belt and solo queue compared to the Night Harvester. So nice to see. Again, it's going to give you some extra follow-up and chase protection coming out, getting a bit more HP as well. For the side of Ultra Prime, though, I feel like this is where you have to start pivoting into playing through top. Sure, Zoom is still ahead in that top lane, but you have Ziggs down in bot side. So you have a ton of wave clear. You have the Mega Inferno Bomb to be able to follow up plays on the opposite side of the map. I think keeping ShiauC up towards that side, making sure ZS can get farm. If you see TS going for a play on the bot side, looking to zone Zoom off, and if TS are doing what they do now, where they're stacking members towards top side, matching that, getting your own defensive vision down, and allowing these jacks to scale up.
What do you do here? Ultra Prime, I think, forced off, and ZS having to give away yet another bit of tower plating. Zoom 0-0-0, but he's got a lot of gold under himself as well. Curious to see if they can here with Zhuo waiting in the wings. Look at Xiaopeng as well, Lyric. This is the play you want. ZS, well, leap strikes, oh no! The plot thickens and ZS is just dead with a pounce and a leap. Knight's on the way as well. ShiauC's next on the menu, boys. And I don't know how they knew about meat, but the Urukai do not rest. ShiauC next up, and 5 for 2. Lyric, turret's going to go down. He's about to boot into a 4K gold lead.
I just absolutely love the amount of initiative that LPL players, and I guess mid laners specifically, take with their flash. I still remember on day 1 where Xiaohu just flashed over the wall to go for the dive bot, and I do the same thing here. Knight does peek away, so Hacker luckily does have that zoning tool. The point is, yeah, initiative coming out. Hacker thought he was the one outsmarting Zoom up in topside, having 2 members to follow up on the play. Sadly for him, TS were being more cheeky, had numerous members sitting there from the start. And with Rift Herald on the map now, Ultra Prime going to try and leverage the package into being able to take that neutral. Luckily for them, they do have some objective balance, so could potentially try and get some more sweet gold.
Okay. Point there, Lyric. Point out that Cryin picking it up for Herald. I hope Hawks is happy about that instead of the Dragons, because 40 seconds till that comes through. Ultra Cryin, full priority on the objective. 5 members here. Max actually coming through out of all 3 members of TES, resetting before this Dragon, knowing that the Herald isn't the biggest loss. But you're right, objective bounty comes through. A bit more gold to help Ultra Prime recover.
And hopefully for the side of Ultra Prime, right, if you could leverage that into taking a turret as well, that's just going to be more of an objective bounty coming your way to get you closer into the game. We're going to see a replay here from Knight's perspective. Like we talked about the flash, because he did use it over the other wall, is able to follow through, gets locked down immediately. Everfrost, sadly, was still on cooldown, but I don't know why we saw Knight's point of view from all that. We saw him jump over a wall, flash, and then get locked up immediately. But again, it was pretty baller. I respect it.
He stole it. I just like the fact that ShiauC and used it back on him. Always nice to see his Hacker. Yeah, he's probably dead here, guys. JackeyLove takes a kill, and I think at this point, even though Ultra Prime are getting these objectives and trying to find ways back into the game, what do you do, Lyric? I mean, it's the sole point at 16 minutes about to come up.
Ooh, yeah, this is quite a rough one for the side of Ultra Prime. I mean, at this point, you really just need a turtle, right? You look at the item discrepancies coming out across the map. Knight, especially, probably sitting on some standing gold as well to be able to get closer to his next item. Looks like he's making his way potentially towards that Zanya's. And for Ultra Prime, again, you are just finishing your man immune on Corki, who is still sitting on a Hex Trigger, so still not dealing that massive amount of damage that he needs. For the side of Ultra Prime, I don't think you look to set up any proactive plays like you did around the top side, as we see a pick that happened onto Hacker. Pretty cool.
Yep.
But yeah, don't initiate any plays yourself. Have Hacker leave to the side of the map that TS is playing on. I don't think split mapping or cross mapping is going to be all too effective for them now. You're pretty much just trying to buy time on the Rift. Any cross map that TS look to go for, they should be able to win out more. You do sell objective bounties though for the side of Ultra Prime, so that's why they're posturing now to be able to drop this Rift Herald and get some more gold in their pockets.
All right, well, Hacker's going to be ran into in a second though, as Zoom just charges. I want to point out as well, you were mentioning the Hex Trigger from Cryin as Herald finally drops. You can't get the shield bow this time, so it will be the AP build. You can't have both items in League of Legends anymore. So for Cryin, let's see if that gets him closer towards either finishing it or getting towards that true second item. Turret goes down, that's what they came for. Top Esports can't stop it. It's now only 4,000 gold. I'm smiling a bit more, Lyric, for now.
Yeah, this is like the gold league we were talking about for Top Esports, but it's also not. We said their average was like 5K in 15 minutes. Look where we are now. Is Knight potentially going to look for the solo kill? Weak.
Okay. No, you know what? That's strength in the bottom lane. I want to point out Xiaopeng's first debut in 2022 over TN, who has won Worlds, but honestly, I feel like we all know that we don't feel like TN is playing the level of performance that we've seen at Worlds and seen in the past, especially towards Summer Split. I don't want to hurt TN while he's not playing Lyric, but importantly, I think Xiaopeng has had a really good starting game. I think Xiaopeng has been in control and been dominating Hacker.
And I think Xiaopeng, again, generally has been in good form, has shown that mechanically he does have a lot of prowess. And just, I think, makes a solid fit for the team stylistically. He's TS, potentially going to look for a dive. Spear lands.
Stops there. Stops there for now, at the very
Nothing.
least. Yeah. I guess for now, top esports is just going to wait for that last dragon.
I'm just kind of hoping that if I, like, set up that something will happen and hand off to you, that I will just kind of will it into existence, and that means it'll happen. So, okay, Xiaopeng looking for once again. ShiauC!
You did it, man. You did it. ShiauC goes in, almost dead as quickly he's arrived. Mega Inferno Bomb's there. Sonic Wave as well to JackeyLove, but the flash immediately burned. Respect paid him for Ultra Prime. Now they're in a choke. The Zooms in the backline. Dominus immediately. Knight as well. Taking the Jack's ulti. A good trade from ZS as he runs away, but top esports are mad. You don't take away Xiaopeng without paying the price. And for ZS, there is no escape from this death he's about to receive. This will be kill number 8, folks. It'll be top esports setting themselves up for great positioning. Coming through for the Dragon in 2 minutes. Vision, gold, you name it. Everything belongs to them as Zoom started that amazing flank.
That also could have just gone a lot worse for the side of TS, right? They're 3-man up under Ultra Prime's turret. Ultra Prime very quickly able to collapse with the fact that Ziggs is already roaming and Corki does have that to be available. We'll see what happens. ShiauC looking for the lockdown, almost gets roosted out, but they are able to follow up. Bomb comes out. Hacker landing a nice Q onto JackeyLove to force out those summoners, and now they just don't really have the follow-up potential to find those kills. Xiaopeng got extremely low, but this all took so long. If I have enough time for Zoom and Knight to make their way in the fight, so much AoE coming out from them. ZS seeing the opportunity to find the flash into Q onto Xiaopeng to at least get one kill back, something. But again, it feels like that could have gone better for Ultra Prime. Had some of the skill shots been able to hit initially.
True.
And yeah, the chase took too long. And Zoom and Knight came in and they got to clap some kids.
They did. Two item Knight, by the way. Actually 3 because there's a Magi's. He's built it once again. 9 stacks on it. So the 6 out of 8 kill participation. Sylas going to be big in this next fight coming up, Lyric. 50 seconds till the Dragon, and you need to walk me through how Ultra Prime approached this one. The Mountain Soul's too big to give up, it feels like.
Yeah, for Ultra Prime, I think they're starting off with the red set generally, trying to force Zoom off the trade top side. I think it'd probably be more beneficial for ZS to just start moving now if they're going to look to contest. Sure, you're going to try and put up some pressure with the fact that you have TP up in top lane, but I don't think enough to where you can really force Zoom to answer anyway. And try to be the ones who get first move into River. Not going to happen because Sylas, too much pressure. Hysteric's answer is there's none. There's no way. There's no setup to come out from Ultra Prime right now.
That's alright. You did try to give me something, and I appreciate that the limit there is. I want to also point out
package.
He's been taking his own blue buff, so he's throwing spears, while package in hand, but Knight is also level 14, and he's stolen away the real ulti. 2 Mega knock up for Zhuo, and a Sylas with Everfrost. The sun comes down, but it's radiating only for top esports in game number 1. JackeyLove kiting away, but a nice little hit from Cryin. He finally hits his rockets, Lyric. That's great. But can top esports, can they get anything more from this fight as Ultra Prime stand as a 3-man unit? And top esports surprisingly the same.
Yeah, ooh, ZS still looking for a bit more.
Forward, but Dominus is still available. Knight goes back on in. Ignite down, flash away. Little bit messy from TES, and this is what we saw against RA. They're not keeping their cool, and they may have lost the Dragon because of it.
You know, and I'm sorry that I didn't preface with the fact that if top esports will just jump in right where Cryin is, where he can put his package. That Ultra Prime won the fighting on the package with the fact that they can also layer the Mega Inferno Bomb on top of it. Ultra Prime starting this one off. TP's coming in. I think they should be able to secure this quite easily. Zhuo and Zoom shouldn't be able to contest. So Ultra Prime buying that timer that we hit on earlier a little bit longer. Hopefully get some more items, especially onto Corki, and then trying to play the range game. We also saw in that fight how much damage that AoE is able to do to numerous members. Again, they fought where the package was. A lot of the skill shots from both Cryin and Elk able to hit in that choke point. JackeyLove getting incredibly low, lending to where Ultra Prime were able to take a win.
So with objective bounty gold given, it's now only 4,000. Plot thickens a little bit as it started with low health members and Top Esports actually getting the choke.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a pretty cool engage getting on multiple members. But we see there a little bit of the package coming out. You're in a choke, so both Ziggs and Corki have incredibly easy access. Look at JackeyLove was taking damage the whole time from it. Xiao as well, getting shunked quite low. And Cryin and Elk just in a position where they can freely dish out that damage. So Top Esports kind of causing themselves to lose that fight with the angle they're looking for. Again, if you can lock Corki down with the initial engage from the Rakan, I think it makes sense. You're hoping you could burst out Corki fast enough to where then they don't have the same amount of damage that we just saw, and you were able to win the fight.
Oddly enough, the big one theory, I guess it's back. You don't miss the big one. Cryin actually hitting the rockets, and we gave him criticism, justly so, against LNG. Cryin had a pretty rough time as his Corki, so it is good to see some balancing factors after the laning phase, after Knight was so aggressive to him in the first 15 minutes of the game. 2 items now picked up 12 Lyric, and as I said before, it's going to be the AP build. Luden's picked up with the Hex Drinker in hand, so catching up to where Knight is. And Ultra Prime, we talked about the Wink Edition in draft. Buying time, Lyric, for the 5v5, for these scaling elements to get the poke damage out. It's starting to come a little bit quicker than otherwise you would have thought.
I mean, the big thing for Ultra Prime's comp, right, is that they want you sitting right in front of them in a lane where you are able to throw out the rockets from Corki, the bombs from Ziggs, and potentially look for an engage when they're low with the Leona, kiting out the engage coming from TS, because TS's comp is pretty low range. It doesn't close a lot of distance. Sure, you will have Nidalee spears coming out, but we've already hit on the 3-man dive squad. Even JackeyLove, knowing that he will get outranged. Hacker, though, not going to be able to find anything.
Rage taken. Top Esports doing work on the bottom turret though. Elk's here for the extra bit of wave clear, and I guess the inner turret's going to hold on for now. For Ultra Prime, nothing lost. As Dragon's 2 minutes 30 away. Baron's still there too, Lyric. And I have to start asking you, at what point does this become concerning that nothing's happening on the map for Top Esports?
I think for TES, it's not too concerning just for the fact that you are on soul points, so we're just going to keep looking at it as like, okay, there's a very clear, easy thing to play around to try and force them to come fight you, or if you can land the smite, that it will go smooth. My guess is TS are just going to wait out that window, wait out the 2 minutes, keep cycling through side lanes. If you can potentially find some kind of pick with Knight, you're going to go for it, but if not, wait for Dragon. Ultra Prime might even just concede the next 2 minutes, just farm waves when they're on their side of the map, and look to poke them off the objective. Don't look to get vision down first. Look to get some shallow vision in river, and then use Corki and Ziggs to enter and kind of make TS indecisive.
All right, that shouldn't be too hard, should it? Because that's been a problem at many a time. Or do you think it's more of a case of the fact that Top Esports, it's not about the decision making, it's more about when they make the decision itself? If that makes sense.
Oh, I feel like TS is incredibly decisive.
Okay.
Just like you're saying. So sometimes it's not always the right decision to be incredibly decisive on, but at least you know Top Esports are always going to pull the trigger. I think that's one very key thing about Zhuo specifically. Zhuo is not afraid of going in. I think it's one of the reasons why when he did get brought on this roster, it did instantly look like it clicked a little bit better than when JackeyLove was playing with you, Yanja, because you know Zhuo wants to look for the fight.
I mean, he feels like someone who's synced up really well with JackeyLove over the years. And a player that we've hyped up joining the roster to complete the puzzle. Now, for Top Esports, we know that the puzzle involved Tien this year, Zoom as well. A couple more different parts than we expected. But all the same, Top Esports started this early game in such dominant fashion, in more so convincing fashion. And yes, I have to correct myself. It's not about the decision-making in terms of making the decision. It's about when they should. There's a turret that's going to go down. So Top Esports still remain in control gold-wise, but Lyric, 30 seconds until this Dragon comes up. There's a 1v1 in the top lane. Starting to benefit the Jax. He's got healing cut now as well. And Zoom at level 16. Croc, level advantage by 2 might not even matter. Slice and dice away as ZS holds his staff high. Says that he can do it now, Lyric. A big 1v1 that might even increase timing. So Ultra run away with, and even in the gauge, Cryin sets up a beautiful package. Knight going golden, but Cryine's on the wing. It's a choke, and Top Esports
have to get out of here. Zoom coming in. Is dicey, but JackeyLove still alive. ZS jumping for him, flashes away, matches with the counter-strike. A quick QSS. ZS actually dying though. ZS is dead. It's a triple kill. Wait, it's going further. Cryin running away. Zoom still alive. He got Elk on the back line. He doesn't have a flash available. And now Cryine's big play looks like absolutely nothing because it's JackeyLove.
I'll be totally honest, I cannot believe that TS came away with the win in that team fight. I mean, the package is layered onto multiple members. You saw Cryin able to zone certain people off. Sure, it does look like certain members like Knight and Xiaopeng maybe just ignored the package, got through it, jumped immediately onto Elk. But especially JackeyLove outplaying and killing ZS, taking me by surprise. It looks like everything was fine for Ultraprime to take this, so let's see the setup. ShiauC looking for the flash, Zenith Blade does find it immediately into a package. It's layered onto a few members. You see them jumping into it now. Knight getting taken incredibly low early on, but they get straight onto Hacker and Elk. Hacker taken super low, Elk taken out of the fight. I mean, it's not surprising Elk's gonna lose this 1v1 to Renekton. I wanna see how JackeyLove does this though. ZS I think started out with his E, so Counter-Strike already down. And yeah, just between the amount of sustain and attack speed he now is good. We got a Baron!
Up to 6k damage now. We're going to start looking at JackeyLove, ladies and gentlemen, who's in front of the pit with the wrong guns, but Zoom zoning them off. Baron's still the target for top esports, but look, they're scattered. Knight's in the middle of 4 people. ShiauC almost taken down with him as Ignite won't tick over. And back there as Mega Inferno Bomb's not enough, and Xiaopeng picks up the smite. But the fight continues with Ultraprime now in the pit top esports. Numbers advantage. Ultraprime a split away. ZS taking the brunt of it for now. Zhuo with the re-engage. The quickness up, down. Goes the top laner as top esports run for their life. 3 versus 4 Lyric. It's in their advantage, and JackeyLove again.
JackeyLove!
Let's go one more time for the 80 carry of top esports. He's a world champion. Respect the man as top esports run towards Cryin. And you know what? This Corki about to fall off his wings. Well, the fight in the top side's actually for Xiaopeng, but hey, Cryine's the one we're going to talk about first. He's dead with Xiaopeng running away. His team can't save him, and that was chaotic, but it's a top esports game, baby.
And top esports are going to take that, be able to break down some turrets in mid lane. I do believe before that fight, TS were around like 6k gold up, so not too surprising just in terms of stats that they would have the advantage, especially now that Knight is rocking that death path in the mid lane. They're just going to be hitting for so much. TS will be able to take the inhibitor off this. You have a wave up in top side as well.
Okay.
Pivot, but ShiauC's going in.
Are they a little bit deep? Golden versus 4 people. Zoom can't save you. JackeyLove giveth, and JackeyLove taketh away. Very classic if you ask me, as Dominus won't save Zoom either. Mega Inferno Bomb as he sits in the middle, tries to heal it up. Slice and dice does not compute. ZS with a huge 950 gold shutdown. And Knight is, I don't know if he's going to try the same thing, Lyric, but ShiauC's ripe. You can see. Ready for picking. Or is it Elk? Okay, it's Knight. He doesn't care. Elk's the one matter. What's he waiting for? What's he doing there? What's the...
Got it. He's got it. He's got it.
Oh, he's got it? Okay. Through the jungle, but Knight needs to make a movement. The Observer's like, are you actually going to do this? You've got him out in soul, you can buy time.
It's not happening, Hysteric. It's not happening.
You hope for it.
It looked like it could have, but no flash available on Knight either, so no great way to close the gap with the amount of vision that Elk did have right there. Sure, you have gone to the duck, but you should be able to get away from that charge. Or to go straight back to the Baron, though. You see Knight, Zoom, and Zhuo trying to zone the members of Ultraprime off. Knight doing a nice job of keeping 3 members away by himself. Is going to get taken down, though, for his overzealousness. Still, though, Xiaopeng is able to secure this right before the bomb does land. And then Ultraprime here, you can see what they're thinking. Hey, we still have a lot of follow-up damage. Sure, our Leona does need to back off, but again,
Elk is wide! Elk is wide in this replay!
Oh, wait, Elk is wide!
It's Harry Potter! Oh my god! Oh my god, alright. Forget the replay. Elk is a wizard. Like, that's insane. I don't know how, but that's great. Come down, Ziggs. What are you doing up there? Hey, Lyric.
What would you prefer? Would you prefer to be able to fly on Summoner's Rift or to be 10-2 and 3?
I'd fly on Summoner's Rift. Honestly, be Aurelion Soul without being Aurelion Soul, probably, you know, let's be honest, one of the worst champions of League of Legends. If Ziggs was like that, that'd be absolutely amazing. So, we'll look back on that.
Don't you miss the days of picking Aurelion Soul as Uhi on CLG, and level 2 ganking bot, and then level 3 ganking bot, and then level 4 ganking bot, and then the champion had to get banned. Not banned, nerfed. Good times.
I think I miss Teacher Ma the most. Teacher Ma's Aurelion Soul, although not always the best, if it's something to behold. Look, chat up.
I do gotta say real quick though, just to give credit to whether it's NA or LCK, I don't know where people want to credit who he or that who he's ASOL, clean, maybe cleanest in the world.
Okay, try to get some respect from
Okay,
the American fans.
okay, bring us back to the game. Bring us back to the game.
Get LPL. you want to be a trader and go to NA, that's absolutely fine. In a turret, the top side goes down, and with my American friend here, we noticed the fact that top esports are about 7,000 gold. Folks, top left of your screen, take a quick look. It's Elder Dragon in 50 seconds. Top right, you can also see Baron in 1:50. Time's up nicely to ping pong between some waves in the interim. And Lyric, at this point, it's a great time for us to check on items before this upcoming fight. Top esports and Mountain Soul also have 4 items Renekton with GA refreshed. GA refreshed on JackeyLove as well, or even Trent. Excuse me. Knight with 4 items too. And Xiaopeng now with some healing cut through his healing, which is going to be very valuable.
Yeah, for the side of Ultra Prime, you are looking for the members of top esports to be very clumped up. If you can find a fight in a choke point, which TS shouldn't let happen, they should just keep pivoting mid lane in the river. Don't get caught walking into their own jungle, and TS should be fine, right? Because you have package, you have the Infernal Bomb, you have all the things we saw that made Ultra Prime thrive in the fight where they did win. If you're fighting on top of the package, if you can hit a massive, 3-4 man Ziggs ultimate, Ultra Prime have the tools. I think every other situation, TS are just too strong right now. They do have the shield coming out from the Soul as well. And Knight even threatening on the flank angle.
He is, but ZS is going to check it first. Elk finally gets in position with his team. Counter-strike there. The package forces Knight out of Knight. Cryine's going on him. He's taken away the missile barrage, but as Knight goes gold, remember he has another stopwatch in the inventory as well. Second one burned out, but he's about to die. Ultra Prime dealt with him well. Xiaopeng over the wall. He gets the Corki, but top esports are about to lose their jungler as well. Ultra Prime hitting their marker. ShiauC goes in without the rest of the team. But JackeyLove again. JackeyLove again. He's unhit. He's unhinged. He's recharged. JackeyLove is Sephiroth infernoing. It's JackeyLove's day as the triple kill comes through, and Elk's on the menu, boys. It's meat. That won't be the quadra, but the full-blown ace to end game 1.
Yeah, we've seen the heights of JackeyLove, former world champion, when he's playing on his game, one of the best AD carries in the world. Absolutely pops off, and TS should just be able to go for the close.
13-2-4. That screams a man that needs to be respected, but the inhibitor spawns up. You still have an Aphelios left. 10 seconds on Cryin, 7 on ShiauC in the bottom lane, but I think it's still going to be over. We look at the fights, we look at what turned this game for top esports, and JackeyLove is giving us goosebumps once again.
For Ultra Prime, I can somewhat understand what they were thinking. They're like, hey, Knight's really strong, sitting on 3 to 4 items. He's just been putting a bunch of pressure on us the whole time. If we can pick him off at the start of the fight with the package, we have numbers advantage. We can try and take this one out. They shouldn't be able to reposition in time to be able to close the gap on us and be able to take that fight. But sadly, it's like Knight, I think, had 2 or 3 kills. JackeyLove had like 12. JackeyLove, I think, had a full item and a half above Knight, was clearly the massive damage dealer in those team fights. So once you've blown like 3 to 4 key abilities to get Knight, we saw JackeyLove just completely able to take over the game. And TS pick a comp that has more agency early on. They're able to find those leads, and we saw a very reminiscent top esports of what we've come to expect with Xiaopeng on the roster.
In different ways, right? Come to expect in the early game, the strategies deployed that, look, that gold graph makes it look like it was a clean game. But Lyric, in that mid-game, it halted a little bit. Ultra Prime started getting into their items. We saw ZS starting beating out Zoom. Cryin adding a lot of impact, and Knight slowing down. Elk as well, his damage quite huge. I think we have to go back at the fact that the fights were getting to the late game point, and Ultra Prime were getting pretty dangerous, so it was, to use an overused phrase, it was not a nice set.
I do feel like when it did start to come back a little bit for the side of Ultra Prime, it was still ultimately because of top esports on doing right. They went for that engage where they thought maybe they could lock 3 members down with the Rakan and the choke point. Had they been able to lock up the Corki and burst him out, I think top esports just cleaned that fight. They weren't able to. He packages immediately. You're all fighting on package. You're all fighting in Ziggs bombs. and it just ended up being a 3-for-3. We saw Jax was close to getting to the point where he could take over the game, was starting to win out in the 1v1 up against the Renekton, but sadly that point in time, Top Esports just had too much map control, and you having a strong Jax plus those 3 teleports couldn't really mean anything in the context of the game.
Yeah, that's right. I think as well, you mentioned Top Esports with their own undoing. You know, I like that. We've also given Ultra Prime their credit, guys, don't worry. But for Top Esports, we said that a lot against RA. You know, RA, I think it was game 2 lyric, their own undoing as well, where we're questioning why, you know, like what is happening with Top Esports. But hey, a game 1 win, their first game win of the regular season, that's a big deal. And for Top Esports to get momentum, another big deal. We'll see if they can continue that swing going into number 2, or if Ultra Prime got some gas in the tank.